Over the past week, we visited some of our clients' homes to unearth some questions about the waterproofing process and their experience with it from start to finish.
The Citywide Group's staff working on site were unbelievable. They're courteous, they're polite, they put their tools away. You know, you can really judge a crew by how they handle their tools and how they handle their themselves on site. And by placing tools neatly at the end of the day, by coming and going quietly, it just makes for a great environment.
The workers were great. They moved what they needed to move. It was actually wasn't a very loud experience. I was anticipating noises, constant noises, but I really didn't notice them. They kept out from underfoot. They never in the way, and it was great having them here. And watching them work was incredible. They were fast, they were efficient, like you could see them doing everything they needed to do, and they obviously professionals at what they're doing. And that's what you need, especially for something like this.
One of the things that really stood out to me is that Chris made sure to have the whole work site clean at all times. We had an easy path right to our front door, uninterrupted at all times. The workers, they came in every day on time. I don't even know when they took a break, to be honest with you. They worked what seemed to be all day and in some very hot temperatures, so it was incredible and efficient. They were out within the week.
There's a lot of old homes that leak because, over time, water will penetrate brick, concrete, mortar, that sort of thing. So you want to protect the brick on the outside. It's great to underpin and, waterproof from the interior, which we did here. However, the outside brick had to be protected for moisture penetration because once you have insulation on the interior, you have to deal with the exterior because water will freeze and thaw when it contacts the brick or mortar or concrete, and you'll get problems in the future.
At the time, I kind of ignored the whole thing, right? Now, I don't know, a few months ago, we started having mushrooms growing in the basement. Something has to be done, and I remember seeing the ad on the back of a bus. So I looked up the reviews, I looked up, on the Better Business Bureau, and it was all great. So I'm like, let's call them up. Steve called me immediately. I brought him in, he took a look, he told me what needs to be done, gave me really professional portfolio pictures and diagrams and stuff like that. So I was like, this is great.
Well, the first most obvious sign was that there was some water leaking in the basement, which was actually a finished basement. So there was some seepage over off into the corner that was coming from underneath the vinyl. I saw the damage, and it's one of those things you're really looking forward to do it preventively, but probably would have been better if we did because it caused some water damage. Definitely get it looked at right away. You don't want to wait. I mean, I waited a little bit and it caused some water damage, as I mentioned, so it's just not worth it. Just get it looked at right away.
Your home or home that you might be looking at might smell wrong in the basement, and that's because of mold or black mold behind walls or in brick and mortar. And it's really important to take care of that. And once you're finished doing a waterproofing job and underpinning, that is that all disappears, and it becomes just this feeling of light and brightness and usable space, and it just makes your life so much better.
They did actually have waterproofing done, but it was done incorrectly. That membrane that you installed was installed backwards, so probably the reason why they had the leak. It was from the previous owner, and unlike Citywide, they didn't have the transferable warranty, so we couldn't trace it down or anything, so we're kind of stuck.
I found the estimate process to be highly proficient, highly efficient, and very professional. And I say this because the president and owner of Citywide, Mr. Harry Cavan, came to my house. He looked at the problem. He was very quick to diagnose what the problem was. That is that I needed waterproofing, that the house had not been properly waterproofed. He measured the amount of the house that needed waterproofing, and then he gave me an estimate that day in a very professional, clear way.
The estimate process with Chris was very easy flowing. I mean, he seemed very honest from the start. He showed me areas that I didn't even notice I needed work on, so and they were actually quite visible. So thank you to Chris, and great job.
I like the honesty. I like the fact that I got an estimate and that was it. There were no hidden charges.
The great thing about this work, it's guaranteed for life. So even if potentially I sell this house, somebody else comes in, those homeowners then continue to have that lifetime guarantee on the house. So it's okay to pay a little bit extra for that kind of quality work.
So at the end of the project, all the waterproofing around the 4 walls of the house was complete, citywide, cleaned up beautifully. There were no marks on the house. They washed up the brick perfectly. The grading was done immaculately. I had still perfect drainage. They drove away from here, leaving us feeling unbelievable that we were taken care of, and they thought of every detail. So I appreciated that.
So I would say to someone, if they notice any water in the basement, diagnose the problem, and I would strongly recommend you invest the money in prevention. Call Citywide, have them assess the situation. They're not going to lead you astray. They're not going to mislead you. And if you need to get the house waterproofed, go with Citywide. You won't go wrong.
I'm so happy with the work these guys have done. Steve has been amazing. I would definitely recommend a proper company, especially a company like Citywide. They did an amazing job.